So I just wanna, now you guys know how to work with the code, how to check out the real version that we're ready to do here. Now I want to show you what it actually takes to do a grunt build now. And that's pretty simple now, hopefully. Let's just have a look. Right now the grunt serve here, let me just show you. My grunt here is running locally and it says course planner here in the headline. But when I go to my live environment on Openshift, it says hello still. Okay, so the live environment, I need to update that with the code from my local environment. Okay, so I need to do a few things. Now I'm a bit lazy here because normally you could do something called grunt build control Openshift, but it just won't work for me in Windows. It works on my Mac, but here we'll just do something a bit different. So we have two steps. Step one is actually do what we call a grunt build. Now the grunt build is going to build everything. Let me just show you here. Here we have the dist folder again. That's where all the code we want to send to Openshift is. So when I do a grunt build, it'll actually go in and clean that folder. Oh, this is actually good. So I'm getting another error here. Now the problem is that on Windows, it seems to be locking this temp folder right here, so I cannot delete it. Let me just stop my grunt server. I just press Control-C, and it shuts down the server. And now let me do the grunt build again. So that was why you got this error. It can't delete the temp folder. So let me just do a grunt build again. Now notice that in the dist folder here, it actually cleaned up everything except these two guys. And now it will build everything, minify it, make the files, call the files different names so it won't have cache issues in the browser. It will put them all your CSS files into a single file. It'll do a lot of things that you would have to do manually. The full stack guys have taken care of us using the grunt build tool. So thanks guys, that's really helpful. And in the end, it'll end up just making these three guys that we can now push back to Openshift. So how do we do that? Well, it's fairly simple. We'll go into the dist folder here. And remember, you have to go into the dist folder. And if I could do a git status now, it'll tell me that things have changed locally. Okay, I need to push this back to Git. So, and the Git repository is actually my Openshift repository behind the scenes. That was what we set up in the painful video that where we fought Openshift on Windows. Okay, so what am I going to do here? Well, I'm going to add the file here. It says there's an untracked file, and this is actually the file with all the JavaScript information. So I'm going to add that, and I'm going to delete this one when I do the push. So I'm going to say add, and I'm just going to add everything. That's the star, because I know that everything in here needs to be added. Then I'm going to do a git commit /am, and then I'm going to put some kind of message telling that now I'm, let's say, changing header, something that makes sense if people want to at some point revert whatever I'm doing. And then the last step is the git push, just like you've done a few other times now if you're used to GitHub or if you've seen my previous videos. Now this will take a bit of time, but what it's actually doing now is it's figuring out using my connection to GitHub if I'm actually allowed to send the code. And luckily I was. Now it's changing and kind of uploading the files that I sent to the repository. And actually if you read this, you'll read that remotely it's now restarting my server, preparing build for deployment, activating the deployment, and it's actually running the server now on Openshift. So that means that with those simple steps, if I go back to my course planner on live and do a refresh, hopefully it says course planner now. Ta-da, you just deployed your application with a single change, and we're going to abuse that in the future to put your application on live whenever you feel like it. So see you for the next lesson, where we're going to dive into some more Angular code to actually be able to create some syllabuses on live. See you next time.